Hello, everyone. My name's Greg Jablonski, and I'm with a company called Well Aware Care. Well Aware Care provides technology solutions for elders as well as handicapped persons who wish to age and stay in their homes longer. Can you remember when you didn't have a cell phone? For most of us, mobile phones have become a big and sometimes too big part of our lives. In fact, cell phones were introduced not much more than 30 years ago, so it hasn't been that long ago. But there's no doubt that cell phones, as well as other technological gadgets and devices, have become a really big and important part of our lives. And it took us a while for those gadgets and devices to become that so that we could become comfortable with them and that they were part of our lives, but not in an intrusive way. So as we age, why wouldn't we expect that being at home and being in a place that we're comfortable in is where we want to be, but that place would likely include a certain level of technology so that we can use the aspects of technology that serve us well. So that's what we're all about today. Why age in place? Well, home is where the heart is. It's where just about everybody is as comfortable as they can be. And it's also a familiar place for them where their surroundings are known and there aren't very many surprises. Routines are important for older folks. And when unexpected events or mishaps happen, it's a real challenge to get back to the routines that they know they like and appreciate. Also, the fact that folks that want to stay in their own homes likely will own their own homes without having to owe any money on them is a really important consideration. And in fact, when caregiver options are considered and other places are under consideration, including rest homes or assisted living facilities, living at home is usually the least costly of all the options. And it's certainly one of the options that most folks would choose to stay in because it's home, it's comfortable, and it's familiar for them. One point of consideration I want to make sure everyone's clear on, and that is when folks choose to age at home or in place, that place could either be in their own home or by choice it could be an assisted living facility depending on the level of additional care they would require. So it's possible to live in an assisted living facility where they would essentially be living on their own, but under the watchful eye of some caregivers. When is not aging at home a consideration? So this is usually when the resident or the elder requires more care, either because of cognitive issues, maybe some dementia has set in, or hopefully not Alzheimer's, or if they're experiencing some type of a chronic health issue that requires more medical attention than just having themselves be alone at home. The other really important consideration is the mobility of the elders at home. If they have some type of a physical disability or have lost the physical capability to move about easily and safely, then staying at home or aging at home alone would not be a consideration, and it may require added attention, such as a caregiver who would come into the home for a certain number of hours per day. When family caregiving support is not a possibility, in other words, when a third-party person it has to come in and care for an individual, an elderly person in their own home, it really complicates the process of providing a level of caregiving for the elder. Most elders are not comfortable with having strangers come into their home. And when they do, they want to make sure that they can trust those individuals and to some extent know them. So trust and being comfortable with a person coming into their home who is going to provide care is a really important consideration. And last but not least, elders who are exhibiting some signs of decline, whether it's because of cognitive issues or some kind of a physical disability, or they're just having difficulty caring for themselves in their own home. It's a very difficult situation for them to accept, and some of them don't accept the situation. And this is an added complication that has to be addressed either by the family who is not participating in the caregiver support, or by a third party who is acting as a caregiver. So what can we expect from technology, and what does it have to do with aging in place? What does the picture look like? So adding technology to the equation when considering caregiver options for folks who are trying to age in their own homes would entail providing some level of device or option that would make it easier for them to do so. In addition, for the caregivers who are involved with caring for the elders who are staying at home, technology can provide a really important and critical respite for them, a break from the usual continual eyes-on care that they provide for the elderly person who is in their home. And in fact, the level of additional care that technology options can provide sometimes can be done without incurring really large, significant cost increases. And that's a very important consideration, given the fact that sometimes having in-home care from nurses or even visiting angels, for example, are expensive option when many hours are required for the caregiver to provide for the elderly person. So that technology options that hopefully are inexpensive and easy to use, they will be able to alleviate some of those financial burdens of having to bring in a nurse or a third-party caregiver. Very important in the equation of having technology contribute to the aging in place picture is that it be non-intrusive. The elder absolutely should be seamlessly able to carry out their daily activities without having the technology option impose in any way on what they do from day to day. And if that happens, then the likelihood of having the elder accept the technology option will be much greater. So what are some of the requirements for having technology options to aid in helping folks age in place? Well, first of all, the technology option can't be an option that detracts from the attention that the caregiver gives to the elderly person. So in other words, that person has to be focused by and large on the care that they give to the elderly person and not on the technology option. The technology option has to be as non-intrusive to the caregiver as it is to the elder. And for that to happen, usually training is very important for the caregiver, making sure that they understand how to use the technology and how it works. That type of training is likely not going to be necessary, nor would it be expected for the elder, because the elder is the participant. The options, the technology options certainly are for the elder, but the oversight has to fall on the caregivers so that the elder isn't burdened by that whole process. Most importantly, the technology options have to be robust and they have to be reliable. To have a lot of foibles and bugs in the options would not be a very sound system, and it wouldn't be readily acceptable likely to either the caregiver or the elder. They have to be very easy to use, non-intrusive certainly, and almost as important as all of these other attributes, it has to be affordable. So it can't be so expensive that the implementation detracts from the ability of the elder to stay in their own home. So what are the issues for seniors using technology? Well, the very fact of the matter is, the younger that older folks are exposed to technology, the more likely they are to know how to use it, to be comfortable with it, and to have it be something that they can incorporate into their lives in order to make their lives better. Older folks who have tried to learn how to use technology sometimes grasp it, but it is a more difficult situation because they're just not familiar with it. And so folks from this current generation who are older will have a more difficult time grasping the use of technology options than will the folks who are getting older in younger generations. They will have been exposed to much more technology, and it will be a much easier process for them to understand and to use the technology and have it benefit them in the care that the caregivers provide. Seniors are more open to technology than once believed, but as long as it's easy to use, that is a very necessary condition. If the technology is difficult to use, the likelihood of adoption by either seniors or caregivers is not high. So where specifically does technology help in this whole scheme of using technology options for helping elders stay in their own home? Well, there's 7 different examples shown here. We'll start with taking meds. In some cases, elders forget to take their meds either at the time that they're supposed to be administered or completely on some days. So having a monitor, an electronic monitor of sorts, to ensure that those meds are being taken is really an important thing. Incontinence issues, for example, are something that can be overcome with a simple electronic device. Communication, upgraded communication systems can certainly enhance the experience elders have with respect to communicating with folks on the outside, and that may or may not include their family, friends, as well as medical staff or even their physicians or pharmacists. So the communication aspect of technology options is really important. A really interesting and critical specific medical technology option is a glucose monitoring system. So to continuously monitor glucose levels and alert anyone who is a caregiver to the fact that glucose situation may be out of balance for the elder is a really great and simple device that can be a real time saver for a lot of individuals, and it doesn't require pinpricks. In terms of general health, just monitoring in general vital sign type information and recording it is an important consideration for doctors to get a better picture of the general health of the elder who is trying to stay at home. And last but not least, safety in and around the home or even in an assisted living facility. And a big part of the safety concerns for most elder folks is the possibility of falling. Some loss of physical capability or mobility could easily lead to more falls, which could lead to a lot of very difficult medical situations. The idea of first of all trying to prevent falls in some way, but more importantly to make folks who are caregivers aware of a situation that an older person has fallen and needs attention is one of the most important contributions that technology can make. So now what I'd like to do is, as an example of the fall awareness system that Well Aware Care has, I'd like to play a short video for you. This video will run about 1.5 minutes, and what it will do is it will explain how the Well Aware Care fall awareness system can alert the caregivers who are responsible for that person. So we're entering the home of an elderly person who at this point I believe they will be in bed, and there she is. So the one part of the fall awareness system is what's called the sleep tracker pad. It's a pad that fits between the mattress and the box spring, and it monitors not only sleep quality, but it tracks heart rate and respiration. Now, simulating a fall, the older person gets up and immediately the sleep tracker turns the lights on for them. So in this regard, it is a fall prevention type system with respect to the lights being turned on. A second part of the technology involves a vision camera. It's a non-discrete camera that records basically a pixelated image of that person. And here's an example of that. So the woman has gotten out of bed and she experiences a fall. So there she is lying on the floor. And as a result, someone is going to get an alert. This would likely be her daughter and maybe her son. They are right now receiving alerts that say, hey, your mother has fallen. Something has to be done. And there you see the daughter calling 911 to address the emergency. So that part of the video talks about living at home. Now we'll talk about an assisted living situation where a similar fall will take place. And again, you see that there's an alert that's been sent to the desk, and the woman is lying on the floor. And in a very short time, an orderly or an attending person has come and helped that person to get back into bed. Thankfully, she hasn't hurt herself and she's okay. So the idea of a fall awareness system that actually couples two types of technology is an important consideration. Other devices that will be coming will include blood pressure monitoring, smart incontinence types of devices, as well as the glucose monitoring system that I had mentioned before. A second very important consideration for older folks who are staying at home is the option to have telemedicine or a visit by the physician, either over the phone or on some type of a device like an iPad or even a personal computer. The interesting thing about the COVID crisis has been that telemedicine, obviously for obvious reasons, has increased substantially. But for older adults who are trying to live at home, the increase is somewhat less. And the likely reason for that is that older folks probably don't have the same technology options as the general population, and they're probably not as comfortable with using such options. Another factor is that the medical industry has been somewhat slow to adopt the telehealth model, but the COVID crisis certainly has forced that issue, and it is being more widely adopted now. In addition to the communication options that the technology options can provide, there are also other health devices. So specifically with the sleep tracker system, for example, things like weight, heart rate and heart activity, sleep quality, and respiration, all of those vital signs are recorded as the person is sleeping. And there are other devices that can also include different levels of, for example, glucose, can also continuously measure blood pressure. So there are other devices that can provide very important medical and vital sign information for the elder person. All of this data is available to physicians who care for that elder person. So the data would tell a story well before that older person, for example, experiences a health crisis. And it can collectively add up to a picture and a story for the physician, who can then more precisely prescribe either a remedy for the physical condition or some type of a solution to help the elder person get well again. And as far as the telehealth options, it's really critical to not forget about just straight communication and the ability for that older person to easily communicate with not only caregivers, but also family members, friends, as well as their support staff, which would include their physicians and their potentially their pharmacists. So how well can we expect seniors to accept the types of technology options we've just described? Well, the fact is we really can't rely on that. And the idea of providing technology options, certainly those options are for the benefit of the elders, but for the most part, they are tools for the caregivers to do their job better, and for the caregivers to watch over the elderly who they're responsible for much more effectively and with a record. The fact that it's non-intrusive is really critical for older folks. If it is non-intrusive and it becomes an everyday part of their life that is not onerous, then they will accept it. And obviously, with any type of a technology option, it has to be used to be accepted and to be effective for that matter. If you buy a technology option that's never used or only used sporadically, it lends itself to a situation where the elder can't get used to it. It can't become a familiar part of their daily routine, and it likely will not be effective because they won't accept it. Another consideration is that if a technology option is implemented during a personal crisis, in other words, maybe while an older person is having cognitive issues, maybe their dementia has progressed from an early stage to a mid stage, then acceptance and use will be far more difficult for a couple of reasons. First of all, the older person may see that the technology option is an intrusive thing in their life and they're not going to accept it. But more importantly, the use of a new device for the caregiver may provide a level of distraction that they're not comfortable with. So acceptance by them may also be an issue when there's a personal crisis involved. The ultimate goal here is to implement technology solutions while cognitive skills are fully functional. In other words, while the older person can understand that the technology option is being implemented for the care that the caregivers are providing to upgrade that care and to make their situation easier for them to give the best care they can to that older person. So just to reiterate what Well-Aware Care does, our mission statement is to enable elders and infirmed to choose where and how they live with the highest quality of life possible, as safely and affordably as possible. So that's our general mission statement, and we achieve those goals by implementing technology systems. And these systems, by and large, are not one-offs. That is, it's not a single device. It's usually multiple devices that can help the entire situation of caring for the elder person be more easily dealt with and also upgraded in terms of the quality of care that can be given to that elder person. These systems typically are made up of simple devices and sensors that are provided by a third party. Well-Aware Care doesn't manufacture any of these devices. And they're designed to supplement conventional caregiving, not replace it. For the most part, we endeavor that the systems are contactless and non-invasive wherever possible. And in that way, we can enhance the environmental safety for residents as well as the caregivers. So in conclusion, technology can be a really important tool for enabling elders to age in place. When used properly, it can really upgrade the level of care that older people experience from caregivers, and it can do it affordably. Ease of use and early adoption are really important factors for successful implementation of any technology option. And especially the idea of being easy to use is not only an attribute for the elder who is being cared for, but also for the caregivers themselves. I think it's misleading that technology is cost prohibitive. In many cases, technology can actually reduce the overall cost of the care of an individual who wishes to stay either at home or by themselves in an assisted living facility. And in most cases, the quality of care is boosted by the use of the technology that is available. And at the end of the day, even though the care that is provided by the technology options is for the elders, it's really a big tool, and it's about the caregivers, giving them another tool to more effectively manage their difficult support roles, but more importantly, so that they feel like they can at some point be given a break from the sometimes very onerous task of caring for an elderly person, even if they're in their own home. So I want to thank you for your attention. Again, my name is Greg Jablonski from Well Aware Care. I welcome you to contact myself or any of the other folks at Well Aware Care. And I would hope that you would be interested enough to visit our website at wellawarecare.com to see all the interesting things that we're doing and to look at some of the solutions more closely that we can offer. So again, thank you for your consideration and for your attention, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.